Therapy. We have seen it portrayed in countless ways on screen, from the iconic sessions in The Sopranos to the heartfelt moments in Good Will Hunting. But beyond the dramatized versions, therapy holds a rich, fascinating history. Did you know that the origins of talk therapy can be traced back to ancient Greece, where philosophers like Socrates would engage in deep dialogues to explore the human psyche? I've had my fair share of therapy as well. I started going regularly after my accident, a pivotal moment that changed my life. It's been a journey of self-discovery, healing, and profound personal growth. A couple of weeks ago, I had the idea of, using a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini for therapy. Mainly because I thought there is potential there for people who maybe are not as comfortable talking to people in person or don't have the financial needs to even seek help with therapy. I used ChatGPT for this experiment and I started a therapy session, and this is how it went. Hi, my name is Wolfgang, and I've been to therapy before a couple of times, but I thought I'd give this type of therapy a shot. Welcome, Wolfgang. I'm Robin, here to help. What brings you to therapy? Are there any issues, problems, or goals that you like to address? I had an accident a couple of years ago, and through that trauma, I developed health anxiety, specifically the fear of dying of some horrible disease. I'm sorry about the accident and the anxiety that it caused. Anxiety can be very overwhelming. How does anxiety or this fear usually manifest itself? And are there any triggers or things that you notice that makes it more intense? Usually stress is a big factor for me. So when I work a lot, maybe have stressful days and lack of sleep, I tend to be more anxious. A couple of years ago, I had lower back pain, and that kind of started my whole health anxiety journey, I guess. I had a herniated disc that pressed on my nerves, which thankfully resolved itself. But then IBS, which I had kind of always, resulted in me thinking I had colon cancer. Thankfully, I overcame this, but then my anxiety turned towards neurological diseases like MS or Parkinson's. And I guess movies, TV shows, books, and just newspaper articles or just stories from friends are triggers for me. It's understandable how past health issues and external triggers can, fuel your anxiety, but overcoming those thoughts and fears like you did with colon cancer shows you resilience. How do you typically deal with or cope with those anxious thoughts when they arise? And are there any strategies or practices that have helped you in the past? Yes, I did some CBT. I have a workbook, which I worked through a lot of times. And as I already said, I went to therapy before. It's great that you're using CBT techniques and have a workbook to guide you. Sometimes reinforcing those strategies with regular practices can make a big difference. Have you found any specific CBT exercises particularly helpful in managing your health anxiety? Yeah, actually there are a couple of them. For example, reframing them, so writing something bad down, like a bad thought, and then putting them into something positive, or writing a positive thought next to it. Counting bad thoughts, just with a clicker on your phone or a piece of paper during the whole day. That helped me a lot. Labeling bad thoughts, that helped me tremendously. For example, when a bad thought came around, or when I was dwelling on a bad thought, I tried to label it as, hey, this is just anxiety, which helped a lot. And obviously just exposure therapy, which can be very useful in certain ways. Those are effective CBT techniques. Reframing negative thoughts and also exposure therapy can be very powerful. When you think about your recent triggers, which of these exercises do you find most challenging or beneficial? Because of my triggers, which are usually right now just muscle twitches, I can reframe my thoughts pretty well. And I know that stress and caffeine intake has a lot to do with my muscle twitching. So I feel like most of the time I'm in control, I guess. Reframing your thoughts is a strong tool, especially when you recognize and manage triggers like caffeine and stress. Knowing you have control over some aspects must feel very empowering. How do you usually remind yourself to reframe or your thoughts when you notice muscle twitching, for example? I mean, at this point, I think I'm very confident with what I can do with my thoughts and what my thoughts can do with me. And so I usually don't really get overwhelmed by them anymore, I guess. That's fantastic to hear. Your confidence and control over your thoughts are impressive. Given your strong coping skills, what are your main goals for continuing therapy? Are there any areas in your life that you like to focus on or improve? I think right now I do have a problem with self-confidence, like comparing myself to others. I feel less of myself a lot of times. Like I feel like I should have accomplished more at this point. And yeah, I guess that's a bigger problem for me right now that I need to improve. Comparing ourselves to others can be a tough habit to break. It's great that you recognize the need to work on your self-confidence. What milestone or achievement do you feel proud of, even if it's a small one? Sometimes reflecting on these can help counteract negative self-comparison. I guess. So I recently became a dad, and that fulfilled me completely. And I think I grew into being a dad very well. I'm very proud of my wife, my daughter, and myself for that. I got a master's degree in 2018, which I never thought I would get. And I started my video production company, my own video production company in 2019, which is doing pretty well. Wow, Wolfgang, those are incredible achievements. Becoming a dad and completing a master's degree and running a successful video production company are huge milestones. You have every reason to be proud. How do you feel when you reflect on those accomplishments? I do feel proud, like very much so. I guess the bigger problem is just social media or comparing myself to colleagues or people on YouTube where I feel less of myself. It's easy to fall into comparison trap on social media. Remember, your journey is unique and your accomplishments are significant. Maybe setting specific realistic goals for your presence on YouTube, for example, could help you find your footing without the pressure of comparison. How do you think setting personal goals might change your perspective? I do have a whiteboard in my office for short and long-term goals, which helps a lot actually. But I think the biggest problem for me is I just sometimes keep being stuck thinking about things, and I should be doing things, I should be recording something, I should be writing something. And I guess, is there something I can do to overcome this notion of thinking and just doing? Having a whiteboard with goals is a great start. To overcome overthinking, try setting smaller, actionable steps that lead to those goals. Sometimes breaking tasks into manageable pieces can make them feel less daunting, I guess. Have you tried specific time blocks for creative work where you focus solely on doing rather than thinking? That's actually a great idea. I've heard about it before, but I've never really executed or embedded it into my day. Sometimes the simplest strategies are, the most effective. Give it a try and see how it feels. Maybe start with like a short, focused time block and gradually increase them as you get comfortable. How about dedicating the next 30 minutes to a creative task that you have been putting off? I mean, funny enough, so my next project is a YouTube video and you are part of it. So basically having a therapy session with ChatGPT. So I guess, is there something you want to say to my audience or a message or something? And to answer your question, yes, I will 100% put more regular scheduling into my creative endeavors. That's fantastic, Wolfgang. And I'm very honored to be part of your next YouTube video. And sure, I would like to say to your audience, embrace the journey. Focus on your unique path. And don't be afraid to take smaller steps towards your goals. Every achievement, no matter how small they are, is an achievement and is a victory. Keep creating, keep striving, and remember, you're not alone in your challenges. And to you, Wolfgang, I want to say good luck with your YouTube video and just let me know how it works out with your new scheduling. approach.
Thank you. I actually really enjoyed this session.
I'm glad to hear that, Wolfgang, and it's been great talking to you. I'm always here if you need anything, and I wanted to just wish you good luck in your journey. Keep doing what you're doing because you're doing something right, and take care. I tried to approach this whole therapy session as realistically as possible, so I tried to imagine that this is a real therapy session. Granted, I would have not been as open in the first sitting with a therapist as I was with ChatGPT. And I also do have a lot of experience already with therapy, and the answers that I got might not reflect answers that someone gets who has never been to therapy before. So this option of large language model based chats like ChatGPT or Gemini and therapy trained chats could be a potential help for a lot of people in the future, and I'm very excited about that. Lastly, I wanted to say that therapy helped me a lot in my growing, in my overcoming certain fears and problems of my past. And I really can recommend therapy in any way or form. And if you have never done it, try it out with ChatGPT. It never has been easier, but obviously ChatGPT at this point, and probably also not in the future, cannot replace a real therapist, especially because in situations where emotions flow, tears maybe and stuff like that are involved, a chat bot can't really comfort you maybe in a way where a real therapist can step in. And so with this I just wanted to say thank you for watching. If you liked what you see, please consider subscribing, like this video, and let me know if you have been to therapy before, if therapy helped you, if therapy is a part of your routine in your life. And that's it. Until next time.